Welcome back to another episode of Lighting the Way. I'm your host, Justin Bird. With me, returning guest is Dan Leitz. Dan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Of course, excited to have you back. So Dan, remind our audience at home, what do you do with Secretary of State?
Sure, I am the program manager for the Organ and Tissue Donor Registry for the state of Illinois. So we encompass, I think I have about 12.5 million people in the state of Illinois that go and get their driver's license or IDs, and I'm responsible for promoting them to register to be organ donors.
Okay.
On top of that, I also work as the co-chair for Donate Life Illinois, which is an organization that encompasses all types of registration or organ donation, such as the National Kidney Foundation, the SafeLIGHT organization, Gift of Hope, Eversight, all the blood donors. I'm also the state team lead for Donate Life America, and recently I've been appointed to the Governor's Illinois Department of Public Health Kidney Action Task Force, which is responsible for educating people about kidney disease, kidney health, and trying to make the world a better place by having people take care of their kidneys.
Incredible. So lots going on.
Correct.
And congrats on the new role. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Kidney health is very important. Chronic kidney disease is silent. It's something that a lot of people don't even think about, yet it's still the 7th leading cause of death in the state of Illinois.
Wow.
So, it's a simple blood test that you can take to see how your kidneys are functioning, and it does go hand in hand with organ donation because we don't want to have anybody be sick where they have to go on dialysis and have to go on the organ transplant waiting list. Absolutely. So if we can take care of people before they get ill, it makes sense, that it's not only good for people's health, it's also, there's a lot of money involved with being on dialysis. So
of course, be proactive than reactive.
Exactly.
Great. Well, so what's new?
So it is April right now, and April is the month we call National Donate Life Month.
Okay.
And it is the month where we spotlight the need for organ and tissue donation registration. We highlight the people that have donated in the past and saved lives, the families of the donors, and anyone that is on the current waiting list. So this is the month where we are out in the public speaking to as many people as possible about the importance of organ and tissue donor registration.
Got it. And now that's nationwide. That's not just for the state of Illinois, correct?
Yes. Every state in the United States has its own organ donor waiting list. In Illinois, we have 4,000 people that are currently waiting for an organ transplant. Nationwide, there's over 100,000 people that are currently waiting for an organ transplant. 85% of them are waiting for a kidney at this point.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow. So do you notice, though, if there's individuals that need more than one organ? And then how does that work with being on the list?
So when you're on the organ donor waiting list, the waiting list goes by how sick a person is.
Got it.
So if there's 100,000 people waiting for an organ transplant and you join the waiting list, you don't start at the very, very bottom. What you'll do is you'll get assessed, and they'll determine where you should rank on the waiting list. And the people at the very top of the waiting list, or the people that are going to get the next organ transplant, are usually the sickest people out there.
Gotcha.
And then when an organ becomes available, we look at the waiting list, and we determine if the person is a blood match to the donor. So,
Gotcha.
Obviously you can't transplant a different blood type into a person. It won't work. The organ will reject. So that narrows it down usually when we determine the donor's blood type. And then we also look at the time that the person's been waiting. I don't know if you know this, but the average wait time for a kidney transplant off of the organ donor waiting list is almost 5 years.
Wow.
So it's a very long time, and a person has to be sustained by dialysis at that point.
Yeah.
And then we also look at the size of the organ, which is important. Obviously, if it's a small child that's waiting for the transplant, it has to be received from a small child. That has to be the donor. And the last part is the location of the donor. So if organs are very viable, meaning that they won't last a very long time. So the organ has to be within an area that it can be used for transplantation.
Got it. Now, so when an organ becomes available, let's say in the state of Illinois, then is it only people in Illinois that are on the wait list?
No. So what happens is that, yes, if a person is a donor in Illinois, obviously the first place we'll look is at the registry, the people that are on the waiting list in Illinois.
Got it.
But the average donor nationwide donates approximately 2.2 organs per donation. So what they're doing is they'll check and see if there's any organs that match the person that was going to donate in the first registry in Illinois, but then they'll expand the search out. So they'll go up to like Madison, Wisconsin, St. Louis, Missouri, Indianapolis, Indiana, and they'll check all the registries in those states, and they're trying to match as many organs to the people that are waiting because it's so difficult to be an organ donor. Only about 3 people who die in a hospital out of 1,000 are actually organ donors. You know,
wow.
it's
very low.
It's low because if you think about it, a person that dies, they usually don't die with healthy organs. You know,
makes sense.
So
of old age, or maybe didn't live a healthy life.
Right. So, and we don't really want people that are a little bit older, or people that die of old age, or people that die because they lived an unhealthy lifestyle. Most of the people that are organ donors, you know, they suffer some kind of tragic accident, whether it be a car accident or a fall or something like that. And, you know, the person goes into trauma where they're we call it brain death, where the body can be sustained by a machine, and we can keep them on some kind of life support system until the organ the people that are on the waiting list, when they find a match, then we can pair them up, and there's a little bit of time involved where we can do that. So yeah, most of the time people that are the donors are the ones who came through some type of tragedy, and the person is sustained for a while.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for that info.
So what that brings up to is the importance of organ donor registration. So when you go to the DMV and they ask you, would you like to be an organ donor, you have to kind of realize what you're getting yourself into. You're actually committing yourself to be a donor upon death. And the ideal part about it is we mark it on your driver's license, so it documents your gift. And the purpose of that is not always for the person that wants to donate upon their dying. It's to inform their next of kin or their loved one that was your intent, because at the point of a person being in the stage of being a donor, they're not going to be able to answer the question, yeah, I'd like to donate my organs, because they're already beyond that point. So what the registration does is it allows the family to know what your intention was. And believe me, when a family is being asked these questions, you know, they're probably in the worst day of their life.
Of course.
They've lost a loved one.
They don't want to probably think about that right now.
That's absolutely right. So what this does is this reassures them that they're making the right decision.
Gotcha.
And, you know, we look at these things when it comes to organ donation, because we can look at all the people that donated their organs in the last year, and we can determine the ones that were of age that could have had a driver's license or a state ID, and we look into the number of people that actually registered to be organ donors. And to believe it or not, of all the people that donated in Illinois last year, 70% of them had that symbol on their driver's license to say, yes, I wanted to be a donor. Now, if you don't put that symbol on your driver's license, you're not opting out of organ donation. You are allowing a family member to make that decision.
Gotcha.
So that's why the numbers are so different between the 70% and the 30%, because when you allow another person to make that decision, they might not have known that you wanted to be a donor, and they're so upset because they're losing you that they're just going to say no.
Right.
So that's why it's so important that we tell everybody that if you want to help people when you no longer can be helped, that you should put that symbol on your driver's license to help other people.
And that's exactly kind of what you do, is by spreading the word about that, because you don't want a loved one having to be put into that situation because they have a million other things going on.
Correct. You know, me speaking from experience, my fiance, Vicky Tolkas, was on the organ donor waiting list, and she needed a transplant to save her life. Unfortunately, it did not come through for her, and she ended up passing away at the age of 43. Although she did not get the organ transplant that she so desperately needed to keep herself alive, upon her passing, she actually donated the corneas of her eyes so 2 other people can see.
Wow.
So I was there for that process when it happened, and I was asked that question, was she an organ donor? And my response was, well, yeah, she was an organ donor, but all her organs failed because of her illness. And the nurse told me, oh no, she's able to donate the corneas of her eyes. They're still able to be donated. And she ended up doing that. And that, that was a rough day for me when it came to that. I lost someone that I really cared for a lot, and the question was asked to me, and it was like that 1 second of that day that I experienced. That was probably the best part of the day, knowing that she did something that she wanted to do upon her passing, and it made me kind of feel good on the worst day of my life.
Right, because she, although is no longer here, is still able to make an impact, not only 1 but 2 people.
Correct.
Yeah.
A female in Chicago actually got one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. So that's why it's so important for those at home to, sign up. And what's the easiest way for our members or our viewers to sign up?
Okay, so the majority of people that register to be donors do it at the DMV. That's the only place you really can do it. You can't do it at the grocery store. You can't do it at the bank. We do it at the DMV because we keep the list of people that register in our database. So when a person is about to pass away, the people from Gift of Hope can actually call our database or contact people in our database and verify if they were registered or not. So about 85% of the people that are registered organ donors do it at the DMV. And we have 139 DMVs throughout the state of Illinois, and they're all doing the same thing. You can do it online at www.lifegoeson.com. A lot of people would, prefer to just click in there, and if you forget to do it at the DMV or they don't ask you at the DMV, you can always do it online. You can go up to any one of our tabling events that we do. They have paper registrations. You can do that, or you can even call our 1-800 number and do it over the phone, which is 1-800-210-2106.
Okay.
So there's lots of options.
A lot of options, but mostly it's at the DMV, easiest way to do it.
Everybody does it at the DMV, pretty much, yeah.
Well, and I believe everyone has to get the World Travel, isn't there a new ID that's going to be required where, I think actually by May, so it'd be a good opportunity if you aren't an organ donor and you have to go in and get a new ID.
So our real ID that takes place on, I think May 7th is when they're going to start enforcing it. I do want to point out to the public that the lines at the DMV are going to be really long for the next couple of months because, people put off having to go there. And I want to tell people that if you have a passport, you don't need to run into the DMV right now. A passport will get you on a plane and you can fly anywhere in the United States as well as out of the country if you have it and it's a valid passport. So you can go to the DMVs. We just opened up a great DMV right in the building that I work at 115 South LaSalle Street. It's our super center. You can do anything there. It's 5 times bigger than the one that was next to the Thompson Center.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to go get your real ID, you can set an appointment. We have expanded to Saturdays at our facilities for the DMV now. We've extended our hours. We opened up a super center on 191 North Clark, which is right next to the Thompson Center, which you can go in there and get your real ID. We've expanded our hours that we're getting an extra 2,500 appointments per week at our facilities.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We are doing everything in our power to get as many people that want to get the real ID to get the real ID. However, the lines are going to be long for a little while there, and if you don't have to fly, in May, I would suggest that you hold off unless you absolutely have to go in there and
Understood. Do it. Well, you heard it from Dan. You don't need to get the ID if you have a passport, as long as it's a valid passport. Thanks for the info on that. Let's kind of talk about what the LEAD program that you have working on right now. It sounds very interesting.
Yes. So I've come up with a program, and it was invented probably because of my daughter, Morgan.
Wow.
So I'll give you the story behind it.
Yeah,
so my daughter is a senior at Allen B. Shepherd High School, and she joined the National Honor Society. And part of being in the National Honor Society is you have to do community service hours. And we looked at the website and we were kind of going through the things you can do to get your community service hours. So I said, yeah, let's tackle this. Let's get this out of the way.
Sure.
And I'm looking at like the opportunities that they had on there, and I'm seeing like you can go to the Illinois Food Depository and put food in boxes, and which is it's a great cause to do that. And then you can go to like Lake Catherine and clean up all the weeds in the pond there and get community service hours. I said, well, those are good things that you can do, but what can we do that's better than that? So I came up with the LEAD program, which is life-saving education for organ donation.
Okay.
And what it does is we allow students to develop organ donor campaigns, whether it be in their lunchrooms, at a sporting event, at a high school football or basketball game, and we train them how to talk to other students about the importance of registration and organ donation. And they can go out in their community, they can go out in their churches, and they can talk to people that they're associated with, the clubs that they're in, and they can talk peer-to-peer about the importance of being an organ donor and registering to be an organ donor. And I think that it helps when you hear it from someone your own age, because it's scary when you're talking to a teenager about, oh, you should donate your organs when you die. No one wants to talk about that.
Right, it's not the cool thing.
Yeah, it's not really. But everybody knows that, it doesn't cost anything to save a life. If you no longer need your organs, that you could donate them to people who need them.
Right.
So what we do is we'll allow them to do these organ donor events, tabling events, and for every hour that they do it, we'll give them a community service award of an hour, up to 20 hours.
Oh, great.
So we rolled it out this year, and we've had several schools do it. The number one school that I could tell you is that Walter Payton College Prep, the number one high school in the state of Illinois, they took to our LEAD program, and they do it differently, where they have a whole class pick a project. So like your freshmen will pick a project, your sophomores will pick a project. Juniors and seniors, they let them do whatever they want because they can drive and they can go out to these events. But the whole sophomore class picked the LEAD program. So I had 325 students. They had 13 advisors, and each advisor had like 25 students.
Wow.
And they went out, and they were smart. What they did is they started contacting schools in their area, and they went out to the schools in their area, like, Jones College Prep, and they went and took a whole squad of people, practiced, their pitch to them about why it's important, so they were educated on it. And during their March 4th day, which is Sweetness Day, because Walter Payton's number was 34,
of course, 34.
So they have a day of giving, and they went out to 15 schools, and they talked to hundreds of high school students and registered dozens of people to be organ donors. And then they all came back, and we had a huge presentation with Secretary of State Alexi Janulius, and he presented them all community service awards for that day. It was really cool. It was. I never would have imagined that the LEAD program would have been able to do that.
And that was the first year doing it, right?
This is our first year doing it.
Incredible.
We kicked it off at the beginning of the school year. And it's kind of cool, because the other good thing about the LEAD program is that we can't reach all 750 schools in the state of Illinois. It's virtually impossible. So through the LEAD program is you can do this virtually now that we do things through Zoom and Teams. So I had a school in Hillsboro, Illinois, which is down near the St. Louis area, asked me, hey, we want to do it, but we're so far away. I said, we can do this all electronically. We can train them all through the Zoom process, and they're doing it down there. A school I would never, ever have thought that I never even heard of. Now they're out there talking to students about organ donation in rural Illinois. So that's kind of what the program is geared towards.
So do you have someone from your team then help them every step of the way virtually, and then maybe even try to go on site at all, or
yeah, so
how does that work?
We have 8 coordinators throughout the state, and they range all the way down from Carbondale to all the way up to Rockford and everywhere in between. So I just have the coordinators designated to an area, and if it's kind of in their area, I'll have them do it in person. But if it's not in their area, they'll be assigned to them. Like my coordinator out in Peoria would handle the girl, the school from down near St. Louis.
Got it.
So they're all kind of working with their own teams, and they're all developing schools too. So we do about 200 schools per year a presentation in the driver's ed program about the importance of being a registered organ donor. So a lot of those schools are interested in doing the LEAD program because we're there twice a year, and we do roughly 400 presentations per year to schools throughout the throughout the state.
So yeah, the word's definitely getting out there, and the importance of it.
Yeah, I hope so. Our partners are out there doing the same thing we are, and we're doing tabling events, and we're doing larger events. We do sporting events where we team with the White Sox, the Bulls, and the Bears about the importance of donation, and even all the minor league schools, like the minor league teams like the Rockford Ice Hogs, the Windy City Thunderbolts, and the Schaumburg Boomers.
Nice, very cool. So with organ donation, or when let's say a 16-year-old gets their license, do you have the data? What percentage of students sign up the very first opportunity they have?
I don't have the exact data for like the percentages of walk in there, but I can tell you this. Out of all the people that register to be organ donors in the state of Illinois, 16 and 17-year-olds account for about 22% of all registration. And think about it, once you register at the age of 16 and you go back for your 21st birthday and you're already registered, it's a lot easier for someone to say yes than if you didn't register the first time.
Got it.
So we're always looking at focusing in on youth when it comes to registration because we know they'll be organ donors for a very long time.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible stuff. I remember you said that your daughter was the inspiration behind LEAD. She also was in part of the SafeLIGHT Foundation Teen Ambassador program, right?
Yes. Morgan graduated from the SafeLIGHT Foundation program last year.
Right. Awesome. And right now we are recruiting students for upcoming school calendar year in September. Applications are available online at the SafeLightFoundation.com. And if you know anyone that is interested in joining, there is a way that you can apply online. Applications will be submitted through the second week of May of 2025. The program's great. I know your daughter, you said, was involved in it. It runs for the school calendar year, I believe, from September of 2025 through about April of 2026.
Yeah, it's a good partnership with Donate Life Illinois and the SafeLIGHT program. Think about it. What's the message that SafeLIGHT wants to do? They want to promote teen driving safety, and they want to save lives by teaching students or telling students the right things to do when you're driving. And it goes hand in hand with organ donation. We want to save lives too. So it's a great partnership of the two. Morgan was not, the most outgoing person that you've, of all the students out there.
Yeah.
And by her participating in the SafeLIGHT program, she really, learned how to speak to people and do presentations. It really made her mature and grow. And she's a leader now, not afraid to talk to anyone when it comes to safe driving or organ and tissue donation. So it's a really good program. It teaches you leadership skills. It teaches you how to think outside the box and how to be creative. And I think that if you have someone out there that is a teen that wants to do things for the good of people, this is a great program for them.
Yeah, it's a great way to bond together. Something new that you can do with your school or with your classmates. And you can really do your best to, promote safe driving, promote, being a donor, and the importance of, making the right choice when you are behind the wheel.
Yeah, and you're getting people from all different backgrounds, all different parts of the city and the suburbs. I think we had 8 new schools this year.
Yep.
We're trying to expand it out as much as possible. I have nothing but good things to say about the SafeLIGHT Foundation.
Yeah, we appreciate, we as a board member for the SafeLIGHT Foundation appreciate being partners with you because we understand, it's very important to know opportunities when you're driving safe, or if, when you do pass away, putting your organs to use, because it's important to be able to still make an impact, although physically you're no longer here able to do so.
Exactly.
So, well, Dan, I really appreciate you coming back for another episode with me on the show. Is there any, last minute message you'd like to make, or any last word you'd like to have?
Sure. I got one more story for you.
Sure.
Last September, we were at Lurie's Children's Hospital, and they invited us there because they just set the record for the most pediatric heart transplants in the history of their program. And that's a celebration. They did so many heart transplants on little kids this year, and saved so many kids' lives. And at the end of the program, there was a little kid named Marshall that walked in, and he had been going to school. And Marshall was waiting for a heart, and he had been there for a long time, probably over a year. Kid wasn't even older than 6 or 7 years old. And when he walked in, he just peeked in there because he wanted to see what all the fuss was about the press conference. And Marshall was obviously hooked up to IVs and tubes and stuff like that. And this kid he had the greatest personality I've ever seen in my life. He like walked up to the Secretary of State, no fear whatsoever, and he's like, "What do you do?" And it was so cool. And we asked him, like, what's your favorite cartoon? And he's like, Bluey. I like Bluey. And he just talked to us forever. He was the coolest kid. And we got him some Bluey stuff for Christmas. And
awesome.
He showed us pictures of it. And then about 4 weeks ago, we got the call that he got the heart transplant.
Incredible.
Yeah. So this Friday, we'll be at Lurie Children's Hospital honoring Marshall that he got the life-saving gift. And I can't wait to see him again because I'm so happy that Marshall got that transplant. It's things like that when I see kids, get the gift of life. The kid had such a personality and so much to look forward to in life, and now I actually get to witness him, healthy again and not hooked up to all those tubes. And now he can go out and go to school like a normal kid and play with his toys like a normal kid
and have that life.
It makes me feel so much better. Yeah.
It really is truly a gift of life,
It
right?
is, totally.
So, well, Dan, thanks again for coming back on the show. And for those at home, thanks for joining us. Please truly consider, signing up to be an organ donor if you are not already, and make an impact for those when you can. So, Dan, thanks again.
All right, thank you.